Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this council meeting on this beautiful May Day of 2025. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Miller,
Present.
Deputy Majority Whip Anderbaugh, Councilwoman Anthony, Majority Leader Espinal,
Present.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Gonsalves,
Present.
Councilwoman Graves is absent, Deputy Majority Leader Harris,
Present.
Councilwoman Peterson, Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo,
Present.
Councilor Royas,
Present.
Councilwoman Ryan, Majority Whip Sanchez,
Present.
Councilman Taylor is absent, Councilwoman Ana Vargas,
Present.
Councilman Oscar Vargas.
Present.
You have 13 present and 2 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This evening, the invocation will be given by Pro Tem Juan Pichardo. Will everyone please rise, including our guests?
Thank you. Dear Lord, as we rise to honor you on this special day, please touch our heart, our mind, and soul to keep our thoughts and the people in your prayers. Touch our hearts so that we can legislate compassionately. Touch our mind to keep our words to mean something to the people that we represent, but also that as we disagree, that we are respectful and that we honor you each and every day. Let us be your voice and your action to do good in the city of Providence. Thank you.
Thank you, Pro Tem, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilor Justin
A
Royas.
pledge of allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, item 3, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 3 and move approval.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 3? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Item 4.
Madam President,
Majority Leader
motion to
Espinal.
waive the reading of item 4 through 9.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion on items 4 through 9. Any discussion on those items? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Madam Clerk, please refer item 4 to the Committee on Finance, items 5 through 7 to the Committee on Finance, and 8 to the Committee on Ordinances, and item 9 to the Committee on Finance.
So noted.
Item 10.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 10 through 12. and
Second,
pass-
Madam President.
We have a motion to waive the reading of item 10 through 12 and pass on a voice vote. Are there any discussion on those 3 items? Councilwoman Peterson.
I'm so sorry, did you say 12?
I did, yes, 10 through 12.
Madam Clerk, could I ask you to please read the resolution for number 12?
Whereas, under the leadership of head coach Joe Murray, assistant coach Peter Bullock, and athletic trainer Matt D'Elia, the Classical High School girls swimming team won the Rhode Island Interscholastic Division I State Championship as a capstone to a regular season of 7-1. And whereas, the Classical High School girls swimming team showed great poise, character, and teamwork throughout the season, leading the team to being awarded the 2025 Paul L. Rossi Memorial Sportsmanship Award. And whereas, the success of the Classical High School girls swimming team helps to foster a sense of pride in our Providence community and is a shining example of what can be achieved through hard work and collaboration. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Providence does hereby recognize and celebrate the coaches and the Classical High School girls swimming team on their many achievements this season. Be it further resolved that the City Council of the City of Providence wishes to individually congratulate the following student athletes for their hard work and dedication in representing the Classical Purple: Amaya Brooks, Sadie Enright, Katie Howlett, Fiona Hughes, Stella Locks, Madeline McGrain, Anna Nicholas Marquez, Alexandra O'Sullivan, Abigail Reimer, Azuri Tabares, Nico Weinert, Vivian Weinert. Be it finally resolved that copies of this resolution be sent to the Classical High School girls swimming team, the head and assistant coaches, Classical High School Athletic Director Robert Palazzo, and Classical High School Principal Scott Barr.
Thank you very, very much. Yeah, we can give him a round of applause. I appreciate the moment to just give some kudos and some major recognition to this wonderful girls swim team. As with everything, I think bringing these young voices, and especially these young female voices, to come and take a look at what we do here at City Hall Chambers, but also be recognized for their wonderful achievements at such an early age. I find it's probably the best part of our jobs, right? So I am going to repeat these names, but ladies, if you could please do me the favor of standing up when I call your names. I want to give you one more shout out, and if I could ask all of the counselors to take a picture with us very quickly after we're done with all of this, I'd appreciate it. To the coaches for this swim team and as the athletic director, thank you so much for all of this hard work. I know that these girls are an example just of the commitment that you have in making sure that they excel and do all these great things, but it's a true testament of the value of the work that you do every day for the city of Providence. So, with that being said, Ana Nicolás Marquez. No, it's okay. Alexandra O'Sullivan. Abigail Reimer. Azure Tabares. Vivian Weinert. Nico Weinert. Amaya Brooks. Sadie Enright. Kate Howlett. Fiona Hughes. Stella Lukes. Madeline McGrain. Head coach Joe Murray. Assistant coach Peter Bullock. Athletic trainer Matt Diella. Principal Scott Barr, which I'm sure is not here. And of course, athletic director Bob Palazzo. Thank you very much for all your hard work for this year. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ryan.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Thank you, Councilwoman Peterson, for putting this forward. I would just like to say congratulations to my dear friends, the classical swim team. It all started at Battistini Rec Pool. That is the home pool for the classical swim team. And I received a lot of assistance from Bob Palazzo, the current athletic director, and Joe Murray when I opened up Battistini Rec. So this win is near and dear to me on so many levels. As a woman athlete in high school, Bob Palazzo knows I was a basketball player way, way back before Title IX. So you ladies have a wonderful opportunity. I know that you're not going to lose any students next year. You've already, you're outstanding, your performance this year as Division I champions. So I'm sure you're going to do even better next year, if that's possible. And you have a wonderful future ahead of you. I would like to ask Council President if it's okay to ask Bob Palazzo, the athletic director for the City of Providence, to come behind the rail and just talk very, very briefly about the accolades these ladies have accomplished. It's truly, truly amazing.
Please, Director Palazzo, thank you. Join us.
Granted us the waiver, and we've swam 20 years. Division III title, Division II title. Barrington has 15 titles. We're chasing them. They won the Open. The Open is the coveting crown. These girls won the A title, they beat Barrington. The higher you get, the numbers get spread out, if you follow swimming, you can understand that. So the deeper the pool, it's hard to score many points. But this is the challenge. They're coming back next year. They're fired up. They'll be wearing the rings for this year. They're proud of that, and we're proud of them. And I just want to thank them. And of course, Joe Murray's been there the whole time and built this thing from scratch. How about that? And I can't, when people say you can't do something, and that you understand that, because this is the job you're in, and you face that every day. And I'm so proud that you had us here, and we had this opportunity. But we look into those challenges. We have a sailing team, by the way, too. They're sailing tomorrow night. So those are the things that, it's not just football, it's not just basketball. We've attempted to do as much as we can for the kids in the city of Providence, only because you people keep fighting every day. Listen, we all watch the news, we all read the papers. This isn't a political speech. I'm just saying it the way it is, because I've lived it for 30 years. It's a battle every single day you come in. I know it, but I just want you to know that we appreciate what you're doing for the future of this city. That's the future, right there.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those words. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, both councilwomen, for
Council
creating this invitation. One more second, and congratulations to everyone. Councilwoman Mary Kay Harris.
Yes, it would be remiss of me not to stand and say that Classical High is in my ward. And of course, everything that they do or everything that anybody does that shines in my ward makes me shine. So thank you, girls, for making me shine.
Madam President.
Pro Tem Pichardo.
Thank you. I too will be remiss if I don't welcome our distinguished gentleman and our super coach. Huh? That's right. Yes, Coach Palazzo, you've been the pillar of city of Providence. And for those of you who didn't know, Coach Palazzo also was a legislator, right? For those of you who didn't know, but after that speech, he'll make anybody the best. And so I was privileged to know him and continue to know him, but also coach my son in track, and to also Mr. Murray, continue doing the work. I just told him, you guys should not be retiring, because the city of Providence, the public school system, needs leaders like you, and I know we have them, and I know we continue to be the best, and that's what we strive for. So thank you for your leadership, and congratulations to all the swimmers and classical and Mr. Barr. Thank you.
Councilor Royas.
Madam President, I just also want to add to the choir of praise here. I want to congratulate the classical swimming team. As a fellow Providence student, I graduated from Hope High School, so I got a little beef with classical, but in the name of Providence, I want to, make sure we put unity front and center. But congratulations, and Coach, that speech you just gave, I honestly feel like running through a wall for you. So if that's exactly why the girls are champions. Like, congratulations, thank you, that was amazing.
I am not. Madam President.
Majority Leader Espinal.
Thank you, Madam President. This is very special to me. So congratulations to the girls and the swimming team. I'd like to thank the sponsor for putting this together. This is wonderful. I hold classical very near to my heart, and not just because I graduated from Centrals, which is right next to it, but actually 3 of my kids graduated from classical. And that's something that only I could say here tonight, is that gentleman right there, Mr. Robert Palazzo, was my classmate at Central High School. And he's still strong, he's still kicking. So it's wonderful to see you here, my friend. Thank you for everything you do for our kids, for our students, for our city. Thank you so much, Madam President.
Thank you all. Any further discussion on items 10 through 12? Councilman Vargas.
Madam President, I would like to abstain on number 10 and number 11.
Sorry, abstain on 10 and 11?
Correct.
Thank you. Any further discussion, items 10 through 12?
I would like to say congratulations I know my son went to the classical high school, and I'm proud for that. And I would like que this swimming extended for the whole city.
Absolutely.
Congratulations again.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Further discussion, items 10 through 12. All in favor?
Aye.
Any other abstentions? And any nays? Hearing none, items 10 and 11 pass with 13 votes and one, I'm sorry, Councilman, did you recuse? Abstain, and one abstention. And item 12 passes with 14 votes. Item 13, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading around 13 and 14.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second on items 13 and 14. Any discussion?
I don't have to, but I just asking the chair and the president to move to send it to the Hope Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Further discussion on items 13 and 14? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Madam Clerk, please refer item 13 and 14 to the Committee on Hope.
So noted.
Item 15.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading around 15.
Second.
We have a motion to, I'm sorry, Majority Leader, could you withdraw that motion and instead make a motion to waive the reading by 15 and pass with on a voice vote?
Absolutely, I withdraw.
I take my second.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading around 15 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 15? Madam Clerk, could you please read item 15 into the record?
Whereas on April 21st, 2025, the world lost a global symbol of humility and moral clarity with the passing of His Holiness Pope Francis at the age of 88. And whereas, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in Buenos Aires, Argentina, he entered the priesthood with the Jesuit order and rose to become the first pope from the Americas and the first to take the name Francis in honor of St. Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of peace and care for creation. And whereas, throughout his papacy, Pope Francis challenged the powerful to serve the powerless, placing the needs of migrants and the poor at the center of his ministry and urging nations to act with compassion. And whereas his visits to prisons and refugee camps reflected his belief that faith without action is hollow, and his deep moral clarity made him a figure of respect across cultures and traditions. And whereas in his encyclicals and speeches, Pope Francis reminded the world that dignity is inherent, that the planet demands stewardship, and that forgiveness is always within reach. And whereas his legacy lives not only in cathedrals, but in households and shelters, and in the quiet choices made by people moved by his example of simplicity and kindness. And whereas here in Providence, Pope Francis held particular meaning for many in our Catholic and Latin American communities who saw in him a spiritual leader and a reflection of their hopes and values. Now therefore be it resolved that the Providence City Council hereby honors the life, leadership, and legacy of His Holiness Pope Francis and joins people around the world in mourning his passing and celebrating his enduring example.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any discussion on item 15? Councilwoman Vargas.
Wow. I love the name Francis because he take that. This is the day I born, October 4. It's like, it's special because that's a Francis. So that's what he take it. When I went to Rome, I went there, oh my God, it was a long way to go inside. And also I keep it the picture he had the pole. So I love it that he chose that name and also he chose for the Francis, and that's the day I born. So I feel like a special woman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Further discussion? Pro Tem Pichardo.
Thank you. Just wanted to rise. The resolution speaks for itself. And, in today's day, as we know that religious is used in many forms, and to divide and to unite. And I think Pope Francis was that Pope that tried to unite a world to be more compassionate. In today's, as we know that he passed away during the Resurrection Day, and that was very special for Catholics and for all people who humanitarians that really believed that we must be compassionate. Pope Francis was that Pope that shed light to many young people that in essence we all have to be open-minded and accept people who they are. Love is love. And that's what I hope that the messages that we in City Council, as we pass this resolution, Pope Francis means to us, that we keep a open heart, knowing that we all come from different background, different religious beliefs, but I think at the end we're all human and we want to have a better Providence. Thank you.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Further discussion on item 15? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Item 16,
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 16, substitute the resolution and amend the header to read, Resolution of the Providence City Council regarding House Bill 5688 and Senate Bill 963's impact on low-income housing and community stability, and pass on a voice vote as amended.
Second that motion, Madam President.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Any discussion on item 16? Councilman Reyes.
Madam President, thank you. I rise tonight to speak on Agenda Item 16, which voices our opposition to key sections of House Bill 5688 and Senate Bill 0963, collectively known as the 8 Law Reform Bill, which is currently under consideration in the General Assembly. Now, this bill, colleagues, is being marketed as a tool to promote deeply affordable housing. But I don't want to sugarcoat it. This isn't reform. It's a blank check for developers. It doesn't strengthen the 8 Law. What it does, in my view, is it guts it and it hands the remains to luxury developers wrapped in the language of equity. Madam President, let me say at the outset that I believe the sponsors of this bill are well-intentioned. I know they care deeply about the housing crisis in Rhode Island and share many of the same concerns outlined in this resolution. Concerns about affordability, housing supply, and the urgent need to reform 8 Law. But unfortunately, the bill as written does not reflect those values in practice. It opens the door to abuse, undermines local authority, and offers long-term tax breaks without adequate public benefit in return. And to make matters worse, this bill is moving forward at the exact same time that this city is preparing to ask working-class residents, homeowners, and small businesses to shoulder a potential tax increase. We're being told that revenue is tight, that sacrifices are needed, that we all need to pitch in, and yet developers, some of the wealthiest actors in the city, could be handed a 30-year tax break like it's no big deal. Let me ask this, do homeowners in my neighborhood get a tax break? Do homeowners in your neighborhood get a tax break? Or do you simply have to be a wealthy developer downtown with access and the ability to make campaign contributions to qualify for special treatment? Because that's what this state bill is reinforcing, a system where who you are and who you know determines how the law works for you. And so let me be clear, this bill isn't just bad policy, it's a slap in the face to every resident we're about to ask more from. Let me walk through the substance. The 8 Law was originally designed to incentivize truly low-income housing. What this bill does is dilute that purpose, handcuff local governments, and create permanent tax shelters for high-end development. Let's start with Section A. On the surface, it looks like it creates affordability standards, but in reality, it lowers the bar. The percentage of required affordable units is weaker than many of us have discussed for a future local ordinance. Even worse, it strips out any caps on rent, so a developer can technically rent to a low-income resident while still charging them an unaffordable rent. That's not equity in my view, that's exploitation with a veneer of compliance. But it's sections B and D, Madam President, where things really go off the rails for me. Section B locks in a 30-year tax break for developers who convert commercial properties into residential use with no requirement for deep affordability and no obligation to address actual community needs. Just convert and collect. That's the deal. It's great if you're a developer. If you're a city trying to fund schools, housing programs, or basic services, not so much. Then there's Section D, which is frankly outrageous. It retroactively blesses tax deals made before the end of 2024, no matter how lopsided or unfair, and allows developers to pass them on to the next owner like a trust fund with no expiration date. These are forever tax breaks, locking in the worst deals not just for decades, but potentially for generations with no way for cities to claw them back. And let me be clear, this isn't theoretical. It should be noted that this body remains in litigation over one of these exact tax deals. In 2021, a well-known developer, Buff Chase, was given a 30-year tax break on 10 of his downtown properties in exchange for limited affordability. This council pushed back, rightly arguing the deal would cost the city nearly $43 million. And a Superior Court judge sided with the council on our motion to intervene in the case, which remains ongoing. And now this bill is attempting to rewrite history. Section D would hand Mr. Chase and every developer like him a retroactive legal shield. In plain terms, it could directly undermine our legal position and block our ability to seek relief through the courts. To make matters worse, Section E of the bill strips us, this council, of the ability to create stronger local policies. If we want to require more affordability or shorten the life of a tax break, we're not allowed. This is state preemption in its rawest form. It says, we know better than your community, please sit down. And I want to say this respectfully. While I understand that our mayor has chosen to support this bill, I believe that position is a mistake. We may share the same goals around expanding housing, but this bill moves us in the wrong direction by weakening local authority, undermining accountability, and by rewarding the kinds of deals that have cost this city tens of millions. Madam President, I also want to take a moment to thank and uplift the Atlantic Mills Tenant Union, the first commercial tenants union in Rhode Island, who are organizing in the very building that could be affected by this bill. If passed, this legislation could incentivize the new owners of Atlantic Mills to convert those commercial spaces into residential units pending a zoning change. That puts their livelihoods and their organizing space at risk. Their voices and their struggle are part of this conversation, and they deserve to be heard. Colleagues, we weren't elected to be bystanders while bad deals get dressed up as housing policy. We were elected to fight for equity, protect our city's bottom line, and hold the powerful accountable, not to sign off on the handouts to developers. In my view, this bill hijacks the 8 law and weaponizes it against the very neighborhoods it was meant to help. I urge you to vote yes on this resolution. Let's make it clear that Providence does not support blank check tax breaks for luxury developers, not now, not retroactively, and not while we're asking our residents to pay more. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion on item 16. Councilwoman Ryan.
Madam President, thank you very much. I disagree with my colleague, and quite honestly, I'm shocked to see this resolution in front of us this evening. I don't understand the process. To me, I don't agree with being read a thesis on the floor of the council. This should be heard in committee. There's too many details. This is too important for us to unilaterally, without debating it in an open forum in committee, and allowing each of the council members an opportunity to be heard and understand the nuances that is before us. I disagree with this in process. Many of you know I've been in my entire professional career. I was adamant before that we needed to find a solution to 8 law, and I am willing and hope to work toward that end, but this is rushed to me. We need to send it to committee and allow the council folks in this room, my colleagues, the opportunity to debate it, to discuss it, and try to get it right. We're better when we're open. We're better when we're transparent. We create better legislation when we all work together and give each other the opportunity to be heard. So that's what I ask for tonight, on transparency, an opportunity to vet this further in a committee forum, so that each and every one of us can be heard and ask the questions that need to be asked on this topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilwoman Anderwall.
Thank you so much, Council President. I rise in support of this resolution and really want to thank Councilman Royas for introducing it. I feel like you're often our moral compass. And I want to say that I agree with the intent of Section B to have adaptive reuse of our commercial spaces that are currently lying vacant, but do not agree with how this is being handled. And I do want to agree with our colleague, Councilwoman Ryan, because one of the reasons why I've been so opposed to Section B, which is a 30-year tax break, is that there's no conversation or discussion or data. I've asked many times at the General Assembly and others who've worked on this bill, where did these numbers come from? Why is it 8%, then 10%, then 12%? Like, what do we actually need to redevelop these properties, which many of us would love to see redeveloped? And we are down to clown to figure out how we get them redeveloped. And there's no answer. There's no information. There's no data. So if something like this were to pass in its current form at the General Assembly, we're locked into a 30-year deal that's based on nothing. There's no data, no independent economic analysis, nothing. And many of us have been spending our nights here on Finance Committee reviewing the city's budget, and one of the things that I know at least gets under my skin, but I think many of my colleagues, our colleagues as well, is there's so many things baked into our budgets that our colleagues from 20 years, 30 years ago did that have put us in a bind now. And we don't want to be those people who are like, when future versions of us are in these seats are looking back and be like, what the heck were they thinking? Why did they rope us into this terrible deal? And now we're stuck with a difficult budget and not enough money from these commercial properties. So definitely want to see these properties developed. I think that's a shared sentiment. We don't want vacant property here in the city. We want strong economic values or economic development, but we want it to be based on something and like understand what we actually need to do to get these developed. So I thank you, Councilman Royas, for sponsoring this.
Thank you. Councilman Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. Today I rise in strong support of this resolution. Outside of the revenue-generating bills at the State House, I think this is the most important bill that the people of Providence, including us, should be paying attention on. As we're all aware of 8 Law, we definitely want to see that worked. But I will say publicly on this floor, I am a little dissatisfied with the mayor's office, specifically on this bill. When they were putting their legislative package together, they showed us their 8 Law bill, and most of us supported it in theory. But when those 8 Law bills got presented, introduced at the State House, it included these subsections, B and D, that we all should strongly oppose, especially as has been mentioned, conversations about raising residential taxes. While at the same time, there's certain leaders of the city pushing such a unjust, unfair tax discount to the people that can afford it. In my opinion, it's a slap in the face to the people that put us in these positions. The conversation of commercial conversion should be its own separate bill. What 8 Law was intended to do was create affordability incentives, and to have language in that bill that has no affordability components at all is ludicrous, in my opinion. And in the sense of being more transparent and having open dialogue conversations, that this bill has been introduced for at least 6 weeks now, and I know Councilor Royas and the Madam President have had more than enough conversations with stakeholders around this topic, and from what it seems like, in my opinion, folks are just telling us things are coming, amendments are coming, and we're already in May. The General Assembly only goes till June, so there is a time urgency. I think we need to pass this on the floor and show the General Assembly members that the City Council strongly opposes the two subsections that is included in this resolution. So with that being said, I do urge my colleagues to support this resolution. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. Councilman Gonzalez, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam President. The time is of the essence. You've heard that from many of my colleagues here. I just want to thank the sponsor for putting this forward, and I want to thank some of my colleagues who have already spoken about this. Adaptive reuse in our city is incredibly important. We need to be encouraging that at all costs. But simultaneously, you've heard it today, we can't just give blank checks. And to usurp our authority as a council and to just allow the General Assembly to make these decisions for us isn't something that any of us should feel comfortable with. So I agree with my colleagues. I think that because the time is of the essence, and frankly, because there hasn't been a lot of collaboration amongst us as a body, but also the administration on this piece of legislation. When we talk about transparency, when we talk about coming together, it's critical that we also have an opportunity to weigh in on something that the General Assembly is deliberating on. So I think that we should have an opportunity to vote on this item tonight, and each person can make their voice heard loud and clear, and we can continue to have this conversation both here as a body, but also at the General Assembly. And I just want to thank the sponsors for their leadership and for standing strong, especially as we think about this affordability crisis in our city. If we want to address this issue, these are the kinds of the things that we need to address. And I also urge our colleagues to also revisit the conversation around 8 law. It's something that we've been deliberating about for months and months and months. Unfortunately, that piece of legislation was vetoed, and we have an opportunity to bring that back. So the least that we can do is actually pass a resolution, a non-binding resolution that says, hold the brakes on this. The council is not necessarily supportive as a body, and let's continue to have conversations about what this looks like moving forward, so that way we are targeting adaptive reuse, something that I think we all support, but also affordability in our city. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. Sorry. Councilwoman Peterson. Moving.
I want to thank the sponsor for bringing this forward. I couldn't agree with you more on everything that you said. But one of the things that I do want to point out, and I think that this is something that if we do allow this to pass or oppose this, regardless of anything, I think it's just, sorry, I'm processing the thought in my mind. One of the things that I think for me in all of this, as I was researching and reviewing the documents, is that you're absolutely right, Councilman Gonzalez. We were not included in this conversation, and it went directly to the General Assembly. I want to point out that I think that that has a lot to say about the lack of collaboration between administration and council, and also the lack of opportunity. To be quite frank, you may all have had conversations on what this looks like, but the reality is that none of this was ever presented to me. And I continue to ask my colleagues, the administration, and our Providence delegation to work together to find a common cause to make sure that we push this city forward, because the reality is that we all are tasked with making sure that we're making the right decisions for this particular city. And when we continue to disagree, whether it's for performative reasons or simply just because we're trying to actually do the right thing, the reality is that the decisions remain stagnant and we go nowhere. So I'm asking for that collaboration to happen going forward with the administration, our state delegation, and this council, so that we can put forward something that's actually more effective for this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Further discussion on item 16. Pro Tem Pichardo.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I would say that I think we're all in agreement that the A law and what we've been advocating has been about affordable housing. And while I agree with everything that Councilman Arroyas just indicated and eloquently put before us, and all the statements before us, we all know that that the administration and us have been in disagreement regarding this piece of legislation. When it was here in the City Council before us, and then when it was proposed at the State House. I'm in favor of creating more housing. I'm in favor of what you just, of this resolution, but I also am hesitant to support such a resolution right before us without debating it in a committee. And why I say that is because that will give us an opportunity to also bring the administration to speak about the legislation at the State House. And knowing the process also with the State House and understanding that some members of the Providence delegation eloquently placed their position, of the community's position, and also even from the City Council perspective before their committee. I think they got the message that we, as a City Council and as a administration, we're not in sync, and that we're not in favor of this legislation. I think we have another 5 or 6 weeks of the General Assembly session. I think we have some time to bring this to the committee and have the administration or even the mayor come in and testify and start having that dialogue. At the end, the process of the General Assembly is very complex, and it will take some time. I think that oftentimes I hesitate on approving or just understanding some of the urgency of these resolutions going forward. You know, this is like Councilman Goncalves says, non-binding, but they do carry some weight, and the General Assembly does receive it. However, I am hesitant on providing a support for this resolution today, and I ask my colleagues to think about that, but at the same time, I think I will be voting no on this resolution, not because I don't believe in it, but I think it deserves more debate on a committee, and if we need to move the committee process as fast as we can do that and get that resolution before the General Assembly as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, item 16. Councilman Reyes.
Madam President, I'll just make my last remarks on this. I support process. I support transparency, open discussion. I think sometimes process can often get in the way of genuine progress. And what I mean by that, there's nothing more than these high-profile developers would like is for us to get stuck in process. Now, I would just note on the record, I've had multiple conversations with representatives from the mayor's administration on subsections B and D. And there was I asked for a commitment for those subsections to be removed, and that they could not give me that commitment. Now, I also will say is whether this resolution is passed today or if it's referred to committee, that doesn't mean the state bill dies, that there is still plenty of room for conversation despite this resolution being before you today. And so if we do pass it, what this resolution sends to the sponsors of these bills is that we support subsection A, which this resolution does not completely reject this bill. It says we support subsection A. We simply do not support subsection B or D. It does not say we dislike this bill, we want it to die in committee. It offers recommendations on how to improve it. So that's what I'll say, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councilwoman Ryan.
Thank you, Council President. I rise for the second time on this topic, and I would like this to go to committee because the message that we should send to the General Assembly is a message that we speak about the resolution as a body, and we vet it, and we bring the administration in. I haven't had a conversation on this resolution. And I'm not happy about being asked to vote for something that hasn't been vetted. This needs to go to committee. We have to give our council colleagues the respect and the dignity of their vote and allow them to hear testimony on the merits of this resolution in committee. We have time. It's an important topic, and a lot of energy and effort has already been expended on this topic. We owe the residents, the folks that have been working on this behind the scenes, and apparently the sponsor has worked with folks behind the scenes. I haven't. I want to hear testimony from the administration. I want to vet the changes that have been made to the legislation that's up at the State House. I want the opportunity to speak on it. I want to be heard, and I want to hear from my colleagues. These discussions, this resolution happened behind closed doors. And if you and my colleagues feel comfortable voting on something that you haven't gotten answers to or understand completely, that's not our job. We're legislators. We need to sit down, figure out what it is and what the nuances of this is. I'm not prepared to vote on this tonight. I truly am not. And I'm begging that this be given the opportunity. This is an important topic. We all want more affordable housing. We're charged with making housing safe, affordable for our residents. Let's take it to committee and let us be heard as legislators. Just passing this tonight, what does it do? It just shuts the door.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilman Sanchez.
Madam President, I rise for the second time on this topic. Well, I appreciate the conversations of being collaborative. What is very clear here is that this body, the City Council, is never going to agree 100% on 8 law with the mayor's office. That has been shown. It's not a theory. It's shown by past actions. The mayor vetoed our legislation after us passing it with more than 10 votes twice. So that is point 1A. We're never going to agree 100%, and that's okay. Our people in our wards don't put us in these positions to agree 100% with every colleague. That's why we're having these lively conversations. But what I want to re-emphasize and make very clear is that we don't have time. We do not have a lot of time. We're in the middle of a very busy budget season. And that's where I'm still not understanding the mayor's office pushing this bill. We're discussing property taxes for our constituents. All of us have gotten hundreds of phone calls of the mayor's proposal, and we understand we're doing our due diligence as a city council to hopefully make it a more fair, just proposal for our constituents. But at the same time, to be pushing a piece of legislation at the State House that has no affordability components to tax incentives, it's ludicrous. This part of the bill should have never been in there in the first place. There's nothing else to discuss, in my opinion. Whether folks want to discuss Part A, I think there is room for that at the State House and hopefully on this floor in the next couple of months with the city ordinance. But that's why I want to strongly urge my colleagues that we need to get moving on this. The mayor's office, at least from what I've seen and heard, has no interest in making any amendments to the subsections that we strongly oppose. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilwoman Peterson.
Thank you. I actually just have a point of clarification, and I asked this question because I'm just uncertain. The question is actually for the solicitor, because we have a pending lawsuit with regards to this particular topic. Does us supporting this affect that lawsuit in any way?
I don't believe it would have any impact on the litigation.
Thank you. Further discussion on item 16? Hearing none. Hold on. I'm
Madam
sorry.
President?
President Pro Tem.
I rise for the second time to be brief. I think that for all of us, and for me, transparency is important, process is important. But I think for all of us to continue to take on resolutions without a committee process is of concern for me. And as you deliberate your decision today, we all can be in agreement that we want affordable housing, that we are in opposition and not in agreement with the administration. I think through the process of committee, we could have the mayor come in or his administration and state what he means. And I know that some of us may follow what's happening at the state level, but we're all busy. We work full-time. Some of us work full-time, can't keep up with all those type of legislation. This is where the arena that we were elected to debate and have this discussion on important legislation. This was just a regular resolution. I get it. Yes, we pass it all the time. And I'm 100% sure that we are going to be passing it eventually here, and maybe today. But as we continue to deliberate or think about our vote today, just think about that process, transparency, because expediency, yes, it serves those at times that some of us at times have been in positions that we don't like it because we've been left out of the process. We shouldn't be doing this when it's not of urgency. That's what my position is. Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. Any further discussion on item 16? Hearing none, hold on one moment. All right. No further discussion on item 16. All in favor?
Can I make another motion? Can I make a motion to send this to committee?
We are in the middle of a motion right this second. You can make that motion next, should this fail. Okay. All in favor of passing the motion as it was read by our majority leader, please say aye. And also for the benefit of the clerks, if you could please also raise your hand.
Aye.
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 We have a roll call, Madam President?
Well, the motion was to pass on a voice vote.
Voice vote? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Will the people who are voting aye please raise your hands? We're in the middle of a vote. It's just a slow one. How are we doing, Madam Clerk? Okay, and all opposed to this motion, please raise your hands and say nay. So please keep your hands raised for one moment. Okay. And any abstentions or any abstentions? Councilwoman Anthony. Okay, so she wasn't on the mic, but Councilwoman Anthony just shared that she has to recuse, and the motion passes. Madam Clerk, do you want to do the vote? I'm sorry, I'm a little underslept tonight. All right, can you just give me the numbers? Because I wasn't there. We had, the motion passes with 9, 4, 3 opposed, and 1 recusal. Yep. 2 absent. Beautiful. All right, item 17. Thank you,
Madam
everyone, for your
President?
patience. Majority Leader Espinal.
Motion to waive the reading of item 17 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second on item 17. Councilwoman Ryan, any discussion?
Request to have the motion read into the record, please.
Please, Madam Clerk, if you could read item 17.
Whereas the Providence City Council mourns the passing of Dorothy Jean Dottie McCaffrey, a beloved daughter of Providence whose spirit, service, and song left an indelible imprint on the city she so steadfastly called home. And whereas Dottie was a fearlessly candid woman, possessed immense generosity and an unwavering devotion to the well-being and dignity of her neighborhood. And whereas her signature wardrobe was as vibrant as her personality, and she was known to craft political ballads that were as piercing as they were playful, always springing from a deep reservoir of care for her community. And whereas throughout her life, Dottie wore many hats, working as a meter maid, crossing guard, boutique owner, restaurant co-founder, and as the longtime administrative assistant to Fire Chief George Farrell, a role she carried with pride and, as she often reminded others, authority. And whereas her contribution reached far beyond official roles, she co-founded Concerned Citizens of Mount Pleasant, championed the preservation of the historic Ryan Post building, and was instrumental in the creation of the Mount Pleasant Memorial Park, ensuring that her presence would be etched into the very landscape she loved. And whereas Dottie was always a neighbor in the truest sense, whether offering Caserta pizza or leading a chorus from her legendary basement backstreet pub, she made all who crossed her path feel nourished and seen. And whereas in her later years, even as she contended with mounting health trials, Dottie faced them with dignity, never asking for pity, but continuing to give generously of herself in ways both large and small. And whereas her memory lives on not only in the stories passed from neighbor to neighbor, but in every tended garden, every shared song, and in the deep imprint she left on those who needed her most. Now therefore be it resolved that Councilwoman Joanne Ryan, Ward 5, and the entire Providence City Council hereby recognizes and honors the extraordinary life and enduring legacy of Dorothy Jean Dottie McCaffrey, and extends its heartfelt condolences to all who grieve her passing. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to the family of Dottie McCaffrey with the gratitude and respect of a city made brighter by her life.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilwoman Ryan.
Thank you. I'll just take a moment to say Providence lost a dear lady when we lost Dottie. Everyone knew her in Mount Pleasant. When I campaigned, she knocked on every door with me, every campaign. And she sang a song. If she liked you as an elected official, you got a song. I got one. And she would sing it on the doorsteps for the folks. And it was funny because when we would go from year to year, the people began to say, "Can you sing for us?" And she didn't hesitate to just wail at the top of the stairs.
That is so beautiful.
Great lady, and she absolutely loved everyone. And when she became ill, no one knew about it. She kept that a secret because she didn't want anyone's pity. She didn't want anyone to think about her because she was always thinking about everyone else. I thank you very much for recognizing her contribution to the city of Providence and joining me in honoring her life.
Thank you, Councilwoman, and I know I share all of us in expressing our sorrow at your loss and what her loss means in others' lives. Any further discussion on item 17? All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, Majority Leader?
Thank you, Madam President. Councilor Ryan, I did not have the pleasure of meeting Daddy, but to hear you speak about her, it's just so emotional and so heartwarming. As you speak and celebrate your friends and your constituent life, I can just thank you for being the way you are and such a beautiful expressions about her. Thank you.
Further discussion on item 17. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Item 18.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 18.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 18? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Item 19.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive
Madam
the
President,
Madam President.
can you refer?
Yes, I absolutely can. Please refer item 18 to the Committee on City Property. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
So noted.
Item
Thank you.
19.
Madam President,
Madam
motion.
President.
I'm sorry, one moment. Councilman, Majority Leader.
Absolutely. Councilman Vargas.
No, I'm sorry, you have to make a motion.
Thank you. Motion to waive the reading of item 19 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam
We
President.
have a motion and a second. Discussion, Councilman Vargas.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Can you please read the resolution?
Whereas the Providence City Council mourns the loss of Rhode Island Senate President Dominic Donnie Ruggiero, who passed away on April 21st, 2025, after a long and courageous battle with cancer. And whereas, born and raised in Providence, Donnie dedicated over 4 decades of his life to public service, including many years representing parts of our city in Rhode Island in the Rhode Island General Assembly. And whereas, a proud union member, Donnie carried his labor roots into the Senate chamber, where he championed fair wages, secure pensions, and the dignity of every Rhode Islander. And whereas, his colleagues knew him as a steady presence and a trusted mentor, and his leadership was marked by pragmatism and a deep respect for the institutions he served. And whereas, beyond the State House, Donnie was a devoted father and grandfather, a lover of Sunday dinners, horse races, and time well spent with family and friends. And whereas, Dominic J. Ruggiero leaves behind a permanent mark on the state of Rhode Island, and his legacy will remain secured to his place in our state's history as one of its most enduring and influential public servants. Now therefore be it resolved that the Providence City Council honors the life and legacy of Senate President Dominic J. Ruggiero and extends its deepest condolences to his family, friends, and colleagues across the state of Rhode Island. His service and spirit will long be remembered in Providence and beyond.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Vargas.
Thank you very much, Madam President. President Dominic Ruggiero was a great person. I know he touched a lot of people. The state of Rhode Island lost a great man. But in this chamber, we are a lot of people who can follow his footsteps. President Dominic Ruggiero was a gentleman, was a listener, was a person that he always talked, listened, and he always used to say, I will figure out how we can move forward. And I will figure out how we can help you out and to get success in life. President Ruggiero, I consider him a friend of mine, my mentor, my advisor, and I did learn a lot from him. And I promise that I will put that forward to help our city, state, and everyone who's around me with good things for the better future, especially in this beautiful city that we have, and the part of the city that I represent, Ward 15, all my constituents, the 11,000 plus people that I have. And I always ask, every time I pray, is for vision. Vision, how to make a better place where we can live. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Further discussion on item 19? Hearing none, Pro Tem Pichardo.
Well, these resolutions mean a lot to me, and I have to get up and speak. But Senator Ruggiero, also known as Donnie, had the privilege and honor to serve with him in the state senate and part of leadership. And as a person, many times people didn't agree with him, or he didn't agree with them. But he found a way, and he had a tremendous team. And now he's joining one of that other team member, which was Senator Mary Ellen Goodwin. Senator Ruggiero demonstrated constantly how a statesman, a gentleman, is to conduct the business of the people with decor, with respect, but also listening to his constituents. He leaves a legacy for me, as it was stated by Councilman Vargas, a person that took the time to give you some knowledge and wisdom. And most of the time, you may not, at that moment, agree with him, but you will come back and learn a couple of lessons from him. At the end, he was crucial in passing legislation that improved the lives of the working families in the state of Rhode Island and the city of Providence. Passed minimum wage, was a tremendous fighter for the unions and working people. And, you know, it's fitting that today, May 1st, International Workers' Day, we're remembering and passing this resolution, because for me as a person, and knowing how important the union movement in the state of Rhode Island is, Senator Ruggiero embodied that. And he will be remembered for generations to come, and especially in my heart and my mind. May he rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Further discussion on item 19? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Item 20.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 20, pass on a voice vote, and refer back to the Board of Contract and Supply.
Second, Madam President.
Any discussion on item 20? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Madam Clerk, please refer item 20 back to the Board of Contract and Supply. Item 21.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 21 and receive and approve.
Second.
Any discussion on item 21? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Madam Clerk, please note 21 as received and approved. Item 22.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 22 and pass on a roll call vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 22? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Miller?
Aye.
Deputy Majority Whip Vanderbaugh? Councilwoman Anthony?
Aye.
Majority Leader Espinal?
Aye.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilwoman Graves is absent. Deputy Majority Leader Harris?
Aye.
Councilwoman Peterson?
Aye.
Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo?
Aye.
Councilor Royas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryan? Majority Whip Sanchez? Councilman Taylor is absent. Councilwoman Ana Vargas? Councilman Oscar Vargas?
Aye.
You have 13 ayes, 2 absent. The motion carries. The matter is approved on a roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 23.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to
Espinal.
waive the reading of item 23 and pass for the first time on a roll call vote.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 23? Councilman Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. Today I rise in strong support of much gratitude to you, Madam President, for introducing this piece of legislation. Rent-setting software algorithms like RealPage exist for one singular reason, to boost profits by colluding artificial information to increase rent. Of course, higher rents, more evictions, more displacements, stuff that we're actively seeing here in our city. So what I'm sharing with you is their stated purpose from their own website, where it boosts that they will help landlords, property managers boost profits from anywhere from 3 to 7%. In Nashville, a RealPage executive was asked whether their rent setting algorithm had any effect on the 14.5% rental increases that their municipality was seeing. His answer was that their algorithm is driving those increases. As a property manager, he continued, few of us would be willing to actually, very few of us would be willing to actually raise rents double digits within a single month by doing it manually. So how does this software technology work? They use a mix of sensitive proprietary data and publicly available information to make working people, low-income people, pay more in rent. So private information is also used in their algorithm. Landlords share their data regarding their properties with companies like RealPage. The information they share is their rental prices, their vacancies, information that's not publicly available. RealPage complies that from landlords across the area with public data, then recommends rent and occupancy levels that maximize profits for all RealPage clients in the region. Quick pause right there. I want to emphasize that this technology is used by larger companies. It's not our mom and pop landlords that have 4, 5, 6 units. Developments, buildings that have hundreds, anywhere from 30, 50 units, and it has been shown that this algorithm will sometimes tell the property managers to purposely keep some units vacant to drive the cost of the other available units. So sometimes this is what is known as price fixing. But they're able to get away with it because it's all a software algorithm. We're seeing other municipalities and towns across the country enact similar legislation. And why it's extremely important for us to follow suit is that we know companies here in Providence are using it. As it was shared with us in our committee that we unanimously passed this legislation, there's at least 26 identified properties in the city of Providence that are using this software. So this ordinance would close that loophole and would make the market a little bit more equitable across. And I mentioned in committee that this is one of the many tools that we should be pushing forward to stand up for the people that rent here in the city of Providence. As we're all aware, our city is anywhere from 50 to 60% renters, so this technology has potential to have a huge impact on the people. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. Further discussion? Councilman Gonsalves.
Thank you, Madam President, for your leadership, and thank you for everyone on this body who is considering supporting this ordinance and essentially centering the voices of working people in this conversation. Providence, as we all know, is facing one of the most severe housing crises in the country. And some people might call it market failure, but we know better. And the supply-demand economics will tell you that the price gouging that we're seeing in our municipality, it's just, people can't stomach these increases. We have been hearing from our residents all across the city that the rent is just too damn high. Like, there's no way around it. And I think that if we work together and pass this ordinance, we can make sure that these algorithmic rent-setting software don't just respond to market forces and manipulate our market, but they're banned in our municipality for good, as they've been banned in other municipalities. As Councilman Sanchez mentioned here, some corporate landlords are acting in concert and they're driving up these rents and keeping units vacant, which is essentially pushing these prices up further. And that's not competition, it's just pure price gouging, and it's a coordinated effort that's repackaged as innovation. And we just can't allow that to happen, especially during a time where we're asking residents across the city to take on additional burden on top of the burden that they're already experiencing. We're seeing high utility bills, we're seeing high insurance bills, we're seeing people not be able to afford basic goods like groceries. And so this is a step forward in the right direction. If we can get out front, if we can be proactive, that's going to be a good thing for our city. And I think banning this software is a targeted, common sense step to protect renters from rent price gouging and to restore fairness here in Providence. So I urge all of my colleagues to support this ordinance for the thousands of residents that we represent in this city who deserve stability and not displacement. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion on item 23? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Miller?
Aye.
Deputy Majority Whip Vanderbaugh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Anthony?
Aye.
Majority Leader Espinal?
Aye.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilwoman Graves is absent. Deputy Majority Leader Harris?
Aye.
Councilwoman Peterson? Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo?
Aye.
Councilor Royas?
Sorry, I was yelling in. Aye.
Councilwoman Ryan? Aye. Majority Whip Sanchez?
Aye.
Councilman Taylor is absent. Councilwoman Ana Vargas? Aye. Councilman Oscar Vargas?
Aye.
You have 13 ayes, 2 absent. The motion carries. The matter is passed for the first time on a roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 24,
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of items 24 through 26.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on items 24 through 26? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Madam Clerk, please refer item 24 and 25 to the Committee on Ordinances, 26 to the Committee on Claims and Pending Suits.
So noted.
Madam President,
Councilman.
point of personal expression. I just want to take a quick moment. As you're all aware, we're in middle of budget conversations. So I want to invite everyone here and that's listening to 2 events regarding the budget. The first one is this Saturday, May 3rd at 1:30 p.m. We will be having Spanish, primarily Spanish, town hall at PCTA at 1:30 to 3:30. We invite the whole community, especially the folks that primarily speak Spanish. And then next Tuesday, right here in these chambers, May 6th, at 5:30 p.m., we'll be having the first public hearing on the mayor's proposed budget. Since the event is Saturdays in Spanish, I'm going to say that in Spanish. Lo que quiero hacer ahorita en este momento es invitar al pueblo para participar en un evento donde vamos a tener una conversación sobre el presupuesto que está enfrente de nosotros. Invitamos a toda la comunidad. Este evento va a ser a las 1:30 el sábado en la escuela de PCTA. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. Further, okay, item 27, please.
Madam President,
I'm sorry, Councilwoman, did you have a?
Yes, I
Sorry,
have
could-
yes.
Point of personal expression.
I would like to remember the people for Hispanics que sometimes it's not have it clear, que we not vote for the taxes raise. So it's good to go over there and discuss that and go forward, because sometimes it have a little confused. I would like to make clear, because if go there and have any question, we can have the answers. So quiero decirle a mi gente que por favor no dejen de ir a ese lugar para si tienen una pregunta, una duda, no se lleven de otras personas, sino que vayan y tomen su pregunta, porque todavía nosotros no hemos subido el cebolle o esos tases que están mencionando por esos lugares. Gracias y lo esperamos allá de 1:30 hasta las 3 de la tarde en PCTA. Gracias.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Item 27,
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 27 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 27? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Item 28,
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
motion to waive the reading of item 28 and pass on a unanimous rising vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes.
Madam President,
Majority Leader.
being that there's no further business in the calendar, motion to adjourn in the name of Nicanor Espinal and Stephen Williams.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are adjourned. Please join for a picture with our swimming champs who held it out throughout this meeting for that honor.